So you're thinking to travel to Morocco soon, and you're wondering what to expect. What are the people like? What are the cheapest options, and how to protect yourself from scams? Or you're just someone who wants to know what's like there. What are the national dishes? How do people interact? Where do they live? And what's the weather like? Then watch this video till end, because in this video I will take you to the Sahara Desert, the shooting place of Game of Thrones, and many more coming up. But hey, if you're just meeting, my name is Syed, and in this channel we talk all about how to create and optimize the best possible life together. Because I'm not any expert, I'm living and learning just like you are, and I'm bringing you along to that journey. This video is actually part of the series that I'm doing where I travel 21 different countries of the world, and I'm sharing my experience on how I felt, what I felt, and where I felt. And hopefully it will excite you to start your travel journey as soon as this pandemic's over. So I went to England a couple of years ago, and I wanted to travel as much as I can and use my time very wisely, because Europe is one of the best connection to the world, and the flights are very competitive and very cheap relatively to Canada or US. And I decided to travel to Morocco, which is in North Africa, and I started looking into option how to get to Morocco. That includes sea options, train routes, planes, but I couldn't find the best option and at the cheapest price. So basically what you're gonna do is that you're gonna go on the companies that you wanna fly with. So in Europe, two of the cheapest companies that has the lowest fee out there is EasyJet, the other is Ryanair. But this strategy only works if you actually want to travel in the non-destination countries. Let me explain what that means. So for example, if you're going to Morocco and you think that you wanna travel to Spain or Prague or some other countries before you go there, then find the cities or the countries that you wanted to visit anyways, and you start booking tickets from that specific country to the country you want to go to. So in my example, I wanted to go to Morocco, and the tickets from London to Morocco was very expensive. Then I figured out that I want to go to Prague anyways. Let's find out what's a ticket from Prague to Morocco. So basically I took a flight from London to Prague, which is very cheap. I stayed in Prague for a couple of weeks, and then from Prague, Morocco, and that's how I found the cheapest flight. The total cost of me visiting from London to Prague and Prague to Morocco was actually cheaper than what I found from London to Morocco. Now we're in Morocco, in the capital, Marrakesh. Few things I want to tell you right off the bat, that it's a hot country, especially if you're going in summer. Make sure that you do your own homework for the hotness of the weather, because you're gonna hit by that as soon as you get off the plane. In my opinion, I don't think you would need the cell phone number as much as you would need the data. So there are a few SIM companies that you can take, and they will be at the airport. They will help you to pick the SIM that's best for you and your needs. And I feel like their SIM services are actually great, because I even got the signal Sahara Desert. So once you get the SIM, now it's time to get some currency, because Morocco don't have many debit machine vendors in the country. When you get it exchanged, make sure to go to a government body. So there is a big exchange company in the middle of the airport that you will see. It's very visible. You're gonna see more smaller exchange companies. They usually have the higher rate, and even if you're not sure of what the rates are, make sure to look at Google and find what the rates are, and then ask these companies whichever one has the lowest rate, go with that, because I know there's a couple companies that could scam you and they have a higher rate. All right, so now you want to get to your Airbnb, and I feel like their bus system is actually very good and very accurate, and it's also on Google Maps. Taxis could actually scam you. Like I know the taxi guy was like, okay, I'll take you there. I was like, would you take me for this amount? He's like, yes, I'll take you for this amount. When he started driving, I asked him like again that you will take this amount, because that's what I found online that it should be charged. He's like, no, I'm not taking that. It's very low. That's very low. I was like, okay, then drop me off. So he dropped me off there, and then I took the bus, which actually took me to the place, which was the fraction of the cost. So be aware of the taxi drivers. I don't think it would be the best way to commute. Then I went to my Airbnb, stayed with the amazing host. He usually picked and dropped me off for wherever I wanted to go with. So Moroccan people are one of the amazing and friendly people I've met in my whole journey of traveling different countries. So the day I landed, I basically went home, ate food with this amazing guy, and then fall asleep because I was super tired and it was super warm. The next few days I actually ended up spending in Marrakesh, in city center, visiting their town centers, shops, big mosques, things like that. There's a famous mosque in Marrakesh that's luxurious and is amazing. You should definitely visit that. However, the mosque in Morocco is actually for praying, so they don't allow tourists in it. As long as you're going to pray, I think you would sneak by it. I'm a Muslim too, so I wanted to pray anyways, and then I visited the whole mosque and I came back out. One thing I got into trouble is I was trying to look for this place where the people basically take the skin of the animals and create some masterpiece out of it. It could be jackets, carpets. So I wanted to look for that place and I couldn't find it, and I did a mistake by asking someone who was just walking by, and he's like, I'm not sure where that is, but he took me to a place where this guy was standing, and it looked like he was looking for people, looking for tourists. And he's like, okay, so ask him and he will help. So as soon as he saw me coming and he saw this guy was telling him to take this guy and visit him around, his eyes got lit up and he was like, okay, yeah, for sure, I'll take you to this place, no problem at all. He was praising that guy because he gave me to him. Anyway, so he took me to that place. It smelled so bad. He showed me how it's created, and then he took me to this shop where they were actually selling the jackets and asked me to buy it. So I was like, okay, sure, I'll look into it. Now that he showed me so much, it made sense for me to buy it. But the problem I had was that I was only backpacking, so to speak. I didn't have much space to take care of this thick jacket. Plus it was very hot out there anyway, so I couldn't have used it. So basically I end up just making an excuse saying that, oh, I'm just gonna call my friend and then he's gonna come, we're both gonna buy it together. I just made a sort of hand gestures. I'm going out to make a call. I made a call and I slowly got out of the place and got out of the trouble. At the end of the tour, my host actually recommended to go on this tour, which is I think 3 to 4 days. That tour was actually done by his friend and it was done through him, but actually went ahead and find that tour that was exactly identical to what I did. Our first stop was the Atlas Mountains. The mountains begin actually near the shore of the Atlantic Ocean in Morocco, and they stretch about 2,500 kilometers. They are huge mountains and there's very drastic change in between the mountains. Sometimes we will see the trees and it's all green and forest. Sometimes we'll see the desert mountain, basically nothing growing on them, it's just white and dead. Once we got through the mountains, we actually got to a first spot called Bin Hadu. It's basically a village in the different valleys of these mountains. So we actually haven't got out of the mountain, we are still in it. In this valley, there's many movies have been shot, like The Mummies.
Probably could have got him for free. All we had to do is give him your sister.
Game of Thrones, Lawrence of Arabia, and 20 other famous movies. We went to a Berber village which is called Khwarzazati, and I apologize if I'm butchering that name. Those houses and those places had like a mysterious walkways, and there's like a different shape of room. Even in the one house there was many kind and different kind of shapes of the houses they had. It was built with a mixture of chalk and mud, which is very interesting combination, because some of the places I saw, it was the whitish room and some was like a sandy look, but it was just cool overall. At this point though, we were thirsty so much, so make sure to have a lot of water with you or have cash on you, because in these villages you will not find any debit machine and you will run out of water. Then to end our day, we actually went to this city called Tahinir. We had our dinner there. So basically this tour included the breakfast and the dinner. Lunch you have to do on your own or you have to pay for it. So the next day we actually went to Tankir, and here we were shown their trees, how do they move from one place to other place, what are the equipments they use, what are the animals they're using. And these villages were actually located at the end of the Atlas Mountains. We actually learned a whole process on how they take the animal shit and make it into the bricks and make houses out of it, which was very interesting, because when we got into the houses, I was expecting that we probably could smell the smell of the animal poop basically, but it wasn't the case. In this place we were also forced to buy a piece of cloth that goes on your head and then it goes around your face to protect you from the sand in the Sahara Desert, which was our next step. Don't buy it. You should already have it in Morocco, in Marrakesh, or have it earlier than that, because that would be 10 times cheaper than the cost they were selling at. And they were basically pressuring you to buy it, because they were saying that there is an entry gate that you have to go through, and for that you have to have this thingy on your face. Without that, there is no entry. Our van took us to a different site, which was this. I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't want to even try. This is actually one of the amazing places I went to in Morocco. It had a huge mountain across both sides, and in the middle there's 3 pathways are going. One in the middle is the road, and across both roads there's like a rivers are flowing, and people are taking bath in it, taking shower, playing around. So if you are going there, make sure to keep some swimming suits with you, because I didn't have anything other than my clothing that I was wearing, and it was super cold, and then the weather was super hot, and it was just a perfect combination for you to go swim and just take a dip in the water. By the end of this road, we basically got to a place where we had our lunch and talked to other people and discussed about how the trip has been so far. So we went to this place. This place is also called Sea of Dunes. It's a part of Sahara Desert, or it is the Sahara Desert, but it has the largest sand dunes in the desert. So we got to the entrance of the Sahara Desert, and I was just shocked to see there is no such thing as gates. There's no such thing as someone telling you to put this thing on your face, or there's no entry without it. We were asked to jump on these camels. The camel's size was smaller than I thought. They were literally stationed on the front, and everyone picked their camel, and then we just got on it and we start heading towards our camp. So our camps were further down in the Sahara Desert. We had to take our Uber, which is these camel, to take us there. So we were on camel for about 45 minutes to an hour. By the time we got to our camps, it was sort of sunset, so we actually watched the sunset hour. The camps, I was promised that they are very good looking, but they weren't from inside. It was very cold to begin with. At the night, the Sahara Desert gets pretty cold, and it's the opposite actually in the morning. The tents weren't heated, so we had to figure out a way where we can cover ourselves and stay heated, which was okay. Like they had some blankets and sheets that you can use, but it wasn't enough for you to be able to survive that night. Bathroom location wasn't that great. I guess these are the part of the journey, and then we do have to fight to some extent to get through these scenarios, and it's also built you as a person, right? But for me, it was pretty okay. Food was good, and again, it wasn't too much, so make sure to bring some snacks with you. We ended our night. It actually went to a high dune. We were all dancing together at one point, so it was pretty fun. I only took the footage of this much because it was very dark. You can barely see. But it was pretty fun overall. One of the other things that I didn't like is the wild nature, and there's a lot of time where I saw beetles scrolling out of the sand, so you have to figure out you don't step on the beetle, and it was just gross because I've seen the Mummy movie, and you know how beetles get into your skin. I think at some point I saw a rattlesnake with his shaky tail, and again, the desert is wild, so you will find wild animals around you, so you got to be careful with that. After that dancing session and song session and the fire session, we went back to our tent. We go to bed and then wake up early morning around 5 a.m. and then we saw the sunrise. After the breakfast, we end up packing ourselves. We took the same camels that we took us from the entrance of the Sahara Desert to our camps. Now we are taking the same camels back to the entrance of Sahara Desert to go back home. Apparently there was like wars going on. I'm not sure what exactly was that, but I had a government of Canada sending me emails saying that avoid all travels in Morocco, or not to go in Sahara Desert specifically. But we end up going there, and again, nothing bad happened, but we just weren't allowed to go further than a specific point. We went back to Marrakech, and that concludes our 3-day tour of Marrakech. Then I stayed in Marrakech for a couple nights. I met his friends. We kind of hang out there. We had late night walks. He fed me amazing dishes called tagine, which is the national dish. So a couple of the amazing lessons I got in Morocco was that going to the place like Sahara Desert was actually scary, because I knew that they're not going to have a proper medical resources in a case of a bad event, but I still wanted to go there anyways, because I thought to myself, what if I don't get into any problems, then I'll miss this amazing adventure. Now that I've gone through it, I felt like, oh, there's nothing bad could have happened to me at all. You have to take a leap of faith, not knowing what's going to happen next. And when you do that, you become a better person, right? Because one, all that fear was just in your head. 9 out of 10 times it's not a reality, and that when you go through that experience, it just makes you a different person, and it also gives you a lot of confidence. And the second important was that you don't need money to travel. The amount of budget I took it with me, and I had to tip people, had to buy things, all of that was covered with a small budget that I was taking with. So that was the end of my journey. So if you have liked and enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. It will help me to get more views. If that's something you'd be interested to do so, I would really appreciate that. And please subscribe so that you will get a notification of the next video that will be on Prague. That would be the next time. For now, take care of yourself and of this channel. I'll see you soon. Peace. I've been out of my head, can't get out of bed. Too much on my brain, but got it good, can't complain. It's like I'm losing my mind.